Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. As always, I'm Corey Kinnon alongside James Foster. Today, we're going to be rolling up with a little Week 10 preview here. Again, if you missed the Conference USA Sun Belt stuff going on earlier in the week, I don't know if you missed a whole lot. Some American Athletic Conference stuff as well, but from an NFL draft perspective, you didn't. So we're going to dive into the slate here. We got some games starting on Friday, but even though we might even talk about the Friday slate. But anyway, I'm not going to do that by myself. James, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Excited for this weekend. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip that Friday slate. We got Memphis, Rice, North Carolina, Syracuse, Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech. I don't know if we want to talk about anything with any of those teams. Then.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis tackle Chris Adams. I saw he
Mm-hmm.
got a Shrine Bowl invite. That was the
Mm-hmm.
first one that I saw of the year. I haven't watched him, but it is a good kind of like that's the first invite or first acceptance that you see of draft season. It always
That means we're
always
back.
always coincides with cold weather in Nashville, which is what we're getting. So yeah, we'll definitely be. I'll be watching Chris Adams at some point, and we'll be discussing him.
I put a midday 3 grade on him over the
Okay.
summer. He's good. He's pretty good. I think he's a guard at the next level, but like he could be like a sixth man in a rotation, sixth, seventh guy in a room, I think. But Saturday, starting off big noon on Fox, we've got Penn State, Ohio State. I think people thought this game would be a lot more anticipated earlier
Yeah.
in the season than what we got going on here with Ohio State as 19.5-point favorites in Columbus here. But we got some fun players nonetheless to talk about here, James. So I'll let you kick this one off here.
Well, first of all, did you see that there's a screenshot going around on Twitter? Somebody had tweeted like in August a screenshot of this week's slate, and it was like, if your friends say you're invite you to do something this Saturday, like tell them you're busy, and basically all of the teams have ended up being disappointing, or at least all the matchups have been.
Yeah.
And Penn State, Ohio State is kind of the epitome of that. But yeah, as far as draftable prospects, I mean, Ohio State, their defense is just so suffocating that the tape, it's like after the first 20 plays, the tape just kind of declines in value almost, where it's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's 30-0, and they just got Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles just swarming. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not to take anything away from like any Ohio State player, because I like their players individually, but like I do want to see some of these players in high leverage moments, like in competitive games, which is why it'll be important. The playoff tape, like that's completely changed the dynamic of scouting for some teams, especially is like their most important games of the year are going to be the last like 4 or 5. And I think that'll be the case for Ohio State.
I think so too. I think this is going to be really fun for Vega Ioane versus
Yep,
Cade McDonald in there. That's
for
going to be
sure.
a heavyweight fight. That'll be a fun one to watch. Kenyatta Jackson, Drew Shelton. I think both those players are probably trending towards going back to school. I think Jackson might, because there's some rare like physical traits that he has that could still get him drafted relatively early. But Shelton, I think, has been.
Jackson's on a hot streak recently. I think his
Mhm.
last couple games have been the best that I've seen from him. So, uh, yeah, earlier in the season, I would have said definitely trending towards going back. But if he keeps stringing performances like this together, then he could be a high draft pick in an edge class that's just we're looking for talent.
Yeah, for sure. And Drew Shelton, I think, is firm back to school right now. I don't think he's been very
Yeah,
good at all.
I've never really seen it with him.
No. Um, I would say some Penn State receivers, but again, they transferred in all those guys, and I still don't think there's anyone really worthy of talking about in terms of a notable 2026 NFL draft prospect. But that's to say, there's plenty of on Ohio State's defense to watch up here with Katron Allen maybe scoring up in a hole here with Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. In the secondary, um, Jermaine Matthews and Caleb Downs, they're to watch as well. So, and
Yep.
you talk about Igbinosin as well. So,
Yeah.
lots of NFL talent on that defense for Ohio State. Um, Penn State defense we talked about. denied Dennis Sutton yesterday's episode where we both view him as a firm day 3 guy. Zane Durant has kind of trended in that same direction as well. Although I do think that Zane's hype will pick up in the All-Star circuit and combine circuit again because he's that kind of athlete, and I think like one-on-one situations will favor him in terms of like an All-Star circuit as
That's
well.
true.
Um, so I do think his buzz will pick up again this offseason, but the film is not stellar at this point in the season there.
He is a great athlete. I think he's gonna have good jumps. I would actually like if they had niche over unders like this. I would bet over on his 3 cone because I don't think he's as
Yeah, oh, he's
bendy,
stiff. Yeah,
as you would think for his size.
but he'll run fast and he'll jump high. Like he might go over 32
He's not
in a
gonna do a three
vertical at
cone.
his size. No, he shouldn't. But I think he could. Do you think he would run like a sub 4.9? I bet he runs like a 4.8,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
maybe even like
sure.
a 4.78, something
Um,
like that.
it's interesting. So, what do you think his speed and acceleration scores are? Like percentile, basically. They're both kind of the
Um,
same. They're both just the same, basically.
so that could be first step related too, like snap timing. But I mean, when he's engaged and it's awesome. Like I bet his top end is probably in the 90s percentile, but like average, I'd probably put him in like the 60s because I don't feel like he gets off the ball super hot consistently.
Yeah, so he's at like 16, 69, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What's his top end? You got the top end data too, though, right?
his elite get off percentage is 98th percentile.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I said on yesterday's
his top.
podcast, I love when my eyes just match up with the huddle data that
Yeah,
you have every
yeah.
time, man. It feels good. I don't feel any worse every time it happens. But Ohio State offense wise, we got Carnell Tate against AJ Harris.
Yep.
Vertically, that matchup should favor Tate
Oh
handedly.
yeah.
I do want to see if we can get some press release
Right.
tape between those two guys. I think
Get
that's where,
some really aggressive jams. Yeah.
yeah, because that's where I think AJ Harris thrives at press and buzz, like press and buzz and buzzing into like cover two
Mhm.
looks, and then obviously we've talked about his ability to get downhill. But yeah, the long speed is a little issue there for Harris too.
Yeah.
Um, Max Clare, Zakiya Wheatley, that's another one that we could see some man-on-man matchups, but even Zakiya Wheatley is going to have his hands full. He's going to have to range every blade of grass over the top in this game if he's playing any single looks. Um,
Yeah, Zakiya Wheatley is an interesting, like he's one of the biggest disparity between acceleration and speed because his top speed is 10.5 percentile.
geez.
But his acceleration score is 73.
So you've mentioned a few safeties, and I feel like the safety data is probably really hard to keep tabs on.
Well, the thing is, so the thing about all of the tracking data is that they're going to be shaped by the player's role.
Yeah,
So, like, if you're asked, if you're playing in a scheme that is like 80% cover 3 and you're the free safety, you're going to have really
yeah,
high speed scores compared to a
right.
box safety because you're being asked to sprint sideline to sideline every play. So yeah, you've got to really look at it. You got to look at the max ability. You got to go in and actually watch the plays and see like, a lot of times top speeds come from like chase downs on interceptions or something. Not everybody gets those opportunities. So you have to act. It can't. It's not just a. It's not just
Hmm.
a substitute, but it is. It is like a good starting point, and it's a good way to like kind of test yourself, and
Yeah,
yeah. So that's what
for
I
sure.
look for.
Anything else, Penn State, Ohio State? That's a lot of time on one game, but Ohio State's got a million people to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Um, yeah, just I mean, Carnell Tate, like considering Jordan Tyson's injury concerns, I could very easily see Carnell Tate being my wide receiver one when it's all said
He's
and done.
playing good football.
And yeah, if
Um,
he continues to not just like keeps it up, but continues to show improvement like he has every week pretty much.
for sure. Vanderbilt, Texas again. Vandy, have you watched Jordan White by chance?
No, the
The
offensive
center.
lineman, the center.
Yeah,
No, I haven't.
he's a Liberty transfer. I think he's playing really good football. I like the center class a lot. Teams are going to find a lot of value in the middle rounds of this draft class at the center position, I think. And Jordan White's another one of those names. So he's got Cole Brevard and then the big guys up front for Texas there. Other than that, Eli Stowers is the prospect. He had a really. Did you see his catch up the scene this past weekend? Last
No.
weekend, Stowers had a full extension catch up the scene this past weekend. It was beautiful. Um, and again, I've been told that Stowers is going to test off the charts. It just hasn't happened on the field for him this year. It's been fairly
Right.
disappointing in that, especially in that offense that features a lot of RPO flats and a lot of RPO pops and stuff like that. You figured he would have been a bigger feature, but
Have you watched any more of Corday Sidnor, the edge rusher?
um, I was going to tonight because I was going to watch the Missouri right tackle that a scout told me to watch, and so I was going to
Yeah.
watch that. But I haven't. I've been checking in, but he hasn't really flashed much more since the Bama game.
Yeah.
So um, again, they've got the Sherrills kid at wide receiver who I like, but I think he's probably going to go back. Like Vandy receiver, probably not coming out early. Um, from a Texas perspective, dude, I was talking with some buddies about this today. It's like I don't like hardly any of these dudes on Texas's roster in terms of the 2026 draft.
Yeah.
Like I'm really cool on Gooseby. Like I think he's a firm back to school for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Gooseby, like there are so many reps where at the top of the arc, Gooseby has all of his weight on one foot and his body is leaning outside
mhm.
at a 45-degree angle. And like stronger edge rushers are just gonna abuse him with hump
Yeah.
moves.
Yep. I think yeah, he's very towering and pretty stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love it. I don't love it. Um, so outside of Jelani McDonald, man, Anthony Hill had a good game last week, but again, it was all A gap stuff, right? Like it's all just trigger downhill
Yeah.
as a blitzer, and I think that's where he's at his best. But in terms of a well-rounded linebacker, I'm not there with Anthony Hill either, and then the corners the same way. Just like you can't sell me on either of those corners in terms of a high pick in the draft.
Yeah,
So
I
Jelani
was
McDonald's the only defensive, honestly, the only Texas player that I'm like fully on board with right now.
I was talking to some Titans fans who wanted to take Anthony Hill in the first round to be an edge rusher. So
He still get to do that.
I had to push back on that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
what are
do
you
think
at on?
Sam linebacker is probably what he needs to play at least early on in his career. But
Yeah,
that's to say, like he can just come out and hit people and set
he's
an
like.
edge.
I mean, I feel
And
like the upside is Frankie Louvu.
Luvu is such a loose athlete, though. You know,
Yeah,
like I think the upside is to deploy him like the Chiefs are Leo Chenal, but I don't think he's anywhere near as physical as Leo Chenal.
no,
So
yeah.
he's one I struggle with.
Texas is just maybe there will be someone that pops later in the season, but Texas I think is it's not their year for draft talent in my
No,
opinion.
no. Miami, SMU. What are we thinking here?
So what do we think about? Does Ruben Bain have a finishing problem?
He
I
does miss
pos-
a lot of tackles at the end of the reps.
yeah. Yeah, I think that is kind of valid because the reason I was thinking that was on my mind is because Ryan Roberts did a piece for A to Z Sports about scouts intel for the edge class and people there are certain teams that maybe aren't as in on Ruben Bain as like a blue chip prospect for that reason. To me
We've talked about
to
it.
me
I'm
it
not
doesn't
that
yeah
high
that
either on it.
it doesn't put a cap on the grade for me, but I can see how it would.
No, that's more like process versus results, and I still think the process is fine, even if the results don't stick.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm still gonna come in a little bit lower than consensus on Bane. But like, I still like that guy's gonna go first round, and I would take that guy first round. I just don't see him as a top 5 player.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, obviously you hate him, and every time he gets a sack in the NFL, I'm gonna clip this, and
You should.
I'm
You
gonna say,
should.
wait, if he's not an
Own me.
elite player, how did he just get a sack in the NFL? I'm confused.
I love it. The gotchaism on social media, man, it's the best.
Yeah.
Um, he's gonna go against PJ. Have you do you care much for PJ Williams?
I have not watched him. I know that there's some love for him. I've seen OT1 love from
I
Clay on Twitter.
yeah. Love you, Clay. Not gonna meet you there. He's
I, I
fine.
I don't have a take on it yet, but
I don't either. Yeah. Not a firm one, but he's fine. Again, I just watched Anthony Belton get drafted in the second round last year, so like tackles go early if they can at least clean set. So
the last 2 years especially, and we've talked about this before, but like every tackle that you think is going to be an early day 3 pick
they're gonna go like
goes late
late
third
second
round
round.
because
Yeah.
there's a run on it, and the Caden Wallaces of the world, they get scooped up. So like,
Yep.
yeah, but if when I see a tackle that is decent, I immediately kind of clock them as okay, that's a potential third round pick right there.
Yep. You kind of have to. I mean, we've talked about it so much on this podcast that every team is hurting for offensive line depth, and most teams are hurting for two freaking starters. Like there
And I
aren't
mean
64 good tackles in the NFL.
this year, like as far as true tackles, I mean, where do you think Ozzy Trapilo goes in this year's draft? Like, is he a top
He might
40
be a
pick?
first rounder in this this,
Is he a
this year's
top?
class.
Yeah, he's like the guy that goes with the first pick of the second round. I feel like in this year's
Yeah,
class
he
because.
very well could be. It's rough. Rough. Um,
But speaking of
from
tackles, Francis Mauigoa
yeah,
for now.
the one solid performer this whole season so far. Rock solid guy, and the guy that I think is built like a guard. Of course,
Yeah,
the one tackle that's playing consistently well is one that I'm not fully sold on the body type or the movement skills, um, but that again, I'm not hating on CC Moinoe because I think you kick him inside the guard, and you're talking about an all pro guard and like an immediate impact player. So like, it is what it is. Um, anything else from either of these guys? You talk about Carson Beck if you want to, but I think again we've talked about how capped I think he is as a prospect, and I wouldn't take that guy before day 3. So
no, some interesting stats. Miami leads the country in EPA per drive. Pretty solid.
yeah, it's pretty solid.
Um,
CJ Daniels,
yeah,
yeah,
they actually rank second in EPA per drive defensively.
yeah. Everything comes down to that quarterback play.
Yeah.
They live and die by it. So again, I really like Mark Fletcher too. We talked about I mean, he's not going to hit any top end speeds anytime soon. But if I am a team that invests in running back by committees, that's a guy that I want in my committee. 10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times. So West Virginia, Houston. Uh, um, okay, this is a football game. This is a Big 12 football game. In terms of NFL draft prospects, I like Amari Thomas, who's a true junior at Houston, wide receiver, but I don't think he's declaring. He's a UAB transfer. He's a future Yak King in terms of like we fall in love with the Yak guys because he's like 6 foot 205 and really well built in the lower half. So he's
Mm-hmm.
got one of those denser lower halves and can work through some arm tackles. Um, so I like Amari Thomas a lot, but again, I don't think he's coming out this year. But this is a Big 12 football game, and that's about all I've got on this one.
Yeah, I don't have anything on these two teams except I did just watch Amari Thomas's touchdown against Arizona
It's
where
sick.
he caught that inbreaker, broke like 3 tackles and then explodes downfield. Yeah, I that's a real player for sure.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Again, I don't think he's declaring. If anything, I bet Houston's more worried about some other bigger power four coming through and offer him too much money.
I've seen
Um,
Houston's coach in a lot of hot boards
yeah,
and stuff.
I mean Willie Fritz. Yeah, he's coming up from Tulane to Houston, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a potentially bigger opportunity as well. Um, all right, Rutgers, Illinois. Again, this is a Big Ten football game. I mean, how many more times are we going to say like, oh, J.C. Davis is kind of a player, but Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think we need to spend too much time on Rutgers,
No,
Illinois, to be honest.
no. Duke Clemson. Brian Parker versus TJ Parker. We've got the battle of the
Yeah,
Parkers here. Um, I want to see. I know you've started to already do it about slipping Peter Woods down your board a little bit. He needs like a dominant stretch to remind
yeah,
everybody of like this is Peter Woods because it just like there's not been a he has flashed and he's played well, but I don't know if he's stacked a game, if he's stacked games yet this
right.
season.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a one good rush a game from him, pretty much.
Yeah, I hope we get some Chandler Rivers Antonio Williams matchups because that's like a future slot versus a future nickel. Even if they're both, I mean Antonio Williams plays a lot of slot now, but I think Chandler Rivers is definitely a future nickel.
Hmm.
Obviously, given he's like 5'8". So I hope we get a chance to see some good on good in that regard as well. Um, but again,
Do you think Williams is in this class?
no, he's a redshirt junior, right?
Right.
I don't think he's performed well enough for me to feel really confident that he's going to come out. Um, especially with those two other receivers being true sophomores, I could see them all three being like, let's all do this again together next year. I
Right.
could definitely see it being a situation like that too. Um, we'll get some Vincent Anthony against Blake Miller, who I think are probably again Blake Miller's another one of those tackles. It's like you think this guy's going to go early day three, he's going to go
Yeah.
third round.
Right.
I also think that Blake Miller's playing better football than he ever has right now as well. I don't know if you feel the
Yeah,
same way.
I need to. Well, I need to tune back into the Clemson offense then, because that has not been a priority watch for me
Shouldn't be.
over the season. So yeah, I'll have to tune back into that.
Yeah. Um. Other than that, we got Will Helt as well as the other edge rusher for Clemson that we can talk a little bit about.
Is he worth
But
charting?
he might be. He might be. He's another one of those weird. I was talking to Ryan Roberts about this the other day too about like, isn't it wild how many really good players Purdue has recruited over the years to be such
Oh,
a
he's a
bad
Purdue
football
transfer.
team?
Yeah,
He's another Purdue transfer.
I mean
There's
the
like
coaching.
Hanneman, Nick Scorton, Will
If
Held,
if
Marcus
I
Bowe
cared
stayed.
enough,
Like,
yeah, if I cared enough to dive into like old Purdue tape, I wonder like what the coaching, what they must have just in terrible positions or had like some real liabilities at some spot.
hmm
I mean, I know they
they
had that
also,
corner, the Georgia transfer, I think like Nyland Green.
oh yeah,
I know he was really bad,
yeah,
but
and also Ryan Walter was only there for 2 years, so they probably all were Brom recruits too. I could understand like wanting to
yeah.
play for Brom. So that makes some sense to me. UCF Baylor. No, again, two teams here. UCF specifically, like I couldn't name you a single UCF player.
Michael Trigg though.
Michael Trigg, tight end for Baylor. Very intriguing. Talent alone, where would you say he is in this tight end class? Like to take away
Uh,
everything we know about like what we've heard from people about other stuff that's in his like background, but talent alone, where would you stack him?
I'd probably go tight end. Now I'm a couple weeks behind on his tape. I see. So yeah, I watched Kansas State. I've watched up to Kansas State, which was a couple weeks ago. He had 56 and 30 the last 2 weeks. Against TCU, he was 3 receptions on 13 targets. So
That might
yeah,
be a Sawyer Robertson stat there.
potentially 2 drops. Um, but yeah, I think he would probably be tight end 3 behind Kenyon Sadiq and Justin Jolie.
I could get on board with that. I think I could get on board with that. Yeah, trying to think. Max Clare has kind of come along a little bit over the past few weeks as well. So I'm hoping maybe down the stretch we see good Max Clare again. That would be really helpful for this
Yeah.
tight end class. Other Baylor player to watch, I would say Josh Cameron, wide receiver, wearing number 34. It's the most jarring thing out there. Um, but I was told by a Southwest scout that he kept the number 34 because that was his walk-on number, and he's a walk-on. So he's like, I'm just going to keep it because this reminds me of how far I had to come to get here. So um, he's also a core special teamer for them and an elite return man for them as well. So he's going to stick at the NFL level because of that and probably round out a wide receiver room. But as a wide receiver, I don't see a ton of exceptional juice, like anything special that like separates him from the rest of the class. Um, but
Going back to Michael Trigg, one interesting stat on him: 0th percentile average separation at the catch point. So it's all just like
yeah,
bodying people up.
nasty one-handed catches up the
Yeah.
sideline, and yeah. All right, we're not going to talk about UAB UConn, but I will throw out Skylar Bell. Had another really dominant performance. He's lighting up again. He's too good to be playing Conference USA football. I guess independent, but they play a lot. Whatever. Um, to be playing group of six football, independent football, because he's a Wisconsin transfer. But like he's performing as he should against that level of competition week in
Yeah.
and week out. So I think he's going to go day two, man. I really do. Like this just screams like a guy who is going to produce at the NFL level for a decade. I love Skyler Bell. Um, Arizona State, Iowa State. Anything there that piques your interest?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still a big fan of Dominique Orange.
Hmm.
I think that I talk about like high volume pass rusher. Like I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that gets you, 35 plus pressures, but I think he could be kind of an explosive nose tackle. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Big Citrus.
Oh boy, it seems as though neither Sam Levitt nor Jordan Tyson are going to play in this football game,
Yeah.
which is absolutely brutal for Arizona State.
Yep. Basically,
Uh,
what do you think about the tackle, Max Ahinachor? Ahinachor. I don't
I
know.
was like bullish on his traits, but like his anchor is still so bad,
I thought he had a
so
solid
bad.
game against Texas Tech.
Hmm. I need to go
I,
back and watch that one because I am probably a week behind there.
yeah,
Um,
that one was kind of eye opening. That I need to go back and check out some more of his tape. I usually just watch Arizona State from the sideline angle, honestly, because Jordan Tyson.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, Iowa State, you mentioned Dominic Orange. Again, Jontez Williams being out for the season hampers a lot of what there is to watch there.
Hmm.
Um, have you watched the Cooper kid who plays a lot of nickel for them, like hybrid nickel?
No, I have not. Jeremiah
Okay,
Cooper.
yeah, he's a decent player.
Okay.
He's a decent player too in that secondary, but no Iowa State wide receiver this year. I just feel like they've kind of exhausted it between Xavier Hutchinson and the two guys drafted last year. And
Yeah.
if they did have one, the Houston Texans would find a way to draft them. So,
Right.
um, all right, Louisville.
Jalen Noel's starting to come on though.
Yeah, he is, dude. He's a football player. I loved him. I
Yep.
thought he was better than Higgins, who went
Me too.
around later. But Louisville, Virginia Tech here. David Bell show. I hope it's the David Bell show.
Chris
Should be
Bell.
the David Bell show. Or that's what I meant. Chris Bell. That's what I meant. Chris Bell. Who's David Bell? Oh, that's the former Browns wide receiver. What am I talking about? Chris Bell. Yeah, should be the Chris Bell show here. On the CW if you're tuning into. um, but I think that's. Have you watched any Kamari Copeland by chance? Defensive
No.
tackle for Virginia Tech had 3 sacks last week against Cal. It's Cal. He was a Feldman's Freakless candidate too. Army transfer. Um, decent football player. Really athletic. 3 tech can push out to 5 a little bit. So he's a good football player. Again, had 3 sacks last week. He's only got 4 on the season though, so it's been up and down outside of last week.
The Virginia Tech player that I'm really interested in is Marcellus Hawkins,
Mm,
Central Missouri transfer, 5'11", 219. I was just looking for players to watch for like the helmet stickers on Monday, sorted by rushing yards for the week. I'm like, oh, who's this Marcellus Hawkins? Clicked on his plays. I'm like, man, 5'11", 219, moving like this. He's really creative. He wins the
hmm.
corner, creates a lot of separation with his jump cut. And I mean, he just now kind of started getting a lot of run. And like, I think this past week was his first game with 20 plus carries, turned it into 167 yards. So he's a guy that I'm going to be monitoring for Virginia Tech, and they have sort of entered my watch list.
Yeah, you sent me his cut up, and I was like, "What? Where did this guy like?"
Yeah.
Unbelievably creative runner. So yeah, I'm excited about that as well. Um, Indiana, Maryland, Maryland. Have you watched? He's probably not going to declare because he's got eligibility left, and he's the Penn State transfer right tackle, Alan Heron. Have you watched him at all?
No,
I'm starved to just find an offensive tackle,
I
man.
feel like
Like
half
that's
of
how
this
starved I
episode is
am.
just you asking me if I've watched
Yeah,
players.
then there's like no reason you
Yeah.
should have because they're guys who aren't really on radars right now. But um, yeah, he's athletic and he's got a nice set, but he plays a little soft in the run game and the core isn't quite there. But he's toolsy again, a Penn State transfer, and I think he's probably just going to go back to school anyway. But I can't think of any other Maryland player that is worth really monitoring this game unless you just really want a really fun Malik Washington game again.
Yeah, I like their quarterback for sure.
Oh, he's good, dude. He's
Yeah.
good. Indiana wise, the two wide receivers, the quarterback. Um, yeah.
Can you do this for me? Can you rank, like, give me your top 5 Indiana prospects?
Ooh. Okay, so one is Mendoza.
Hmm.
Oh, this is getting tough already. I don't know if Kamara would be fringe five, and I think people would try to throw him at two because of the college production.
No,
But I
well,
think that would
his
have to be
his production's really down this year.
yeah.
I think that to me he was kind of a day 3 guy heading into the year, and he's
Hmm.
like, I listened to all of Signetti's press conferences, and he said it was like, Mikhail Kamara said he wanted to set the program record in sacks, and then uh, Signetti was like, yeah, well, there's a lot more. I'm ready to start seeing it from him. So, yeah, I
He
don't
does
know.
not mince his words. Does not
No,
mince his words. I'm tempted. I'm not gonna do it. I'm tempted to say Aiden Fisher too,
okay,
but I'm not gonna do it. Like again, I thought Aiden Fisher again was just like one of those like tone-setting, big, bulky linebackers that like every college program has playing at the second level, but they never make it to the NFL. But like I see some like real NFL athleticism from Aiden Fisher over the past few weeks, and I don't know if you
yeah,
feel similarly or how if the tracking data reflects that, but um, I'll say Farrell too.
okay.
Can I put Cooper Surratt 3A 3B? Or do I have to? You're gonna make me. Okay, Cooper, then Surratt, then Fisher.
Okay.
Pons is good. Like Pons is gonna be a really solid nickel. I just don't know how to rank him as a nickel because he's like, you know.
Right. So I'd probably go Mendoza, Cooper, Farrell, Amari Farrell, the safety,
Hmm.
then Aiden Fisher,
Hmm.
the linebacker, then D'Angelo Pons, the
Okay.
corner, then probably Elijah Surratt, the receiver.
Hmm.
And then the last draftable guy I think would be Carter Smith, maybe as like a guard or center on day 3.
Okay. You've been hyping up the other linebacker too.
Isaiah Jones, yeah, I don't know if he
Yeah.
declares though.
Yeah,
He's
that's
an
fair.
underclassman.
But yeah, Fisher's becoming one of my guys in this class. Like I'm digging Fisher.
Yeah.
Georgia, Florida here. Georgia's another team where it's like the amount of NFL draft talent, like kind of like Texas, is underwhelming what you would expect from a program like Georgia.
Yeah.
Outside of Christian Miller this year, what do you want to talk
Yeah, I
about?
mean Christian Miller versus Najee Harris will be a good matchup for sure.
Hmm.
Um man, yeah, those are really the only two guys that I'm and then CJ Allen on Georgia
Hmm.
I like is probably linebacker 3.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I'd have him linebacker three too. Um, again, I think the tape on Oscar Delp is so much better than the production too.
Right.
I will keep saying that I think the athleticism and the route running chops that Oscar Delp puts on tape is just so much better than the production. So I'll keep speaking that into the universe. From a Florida perspective, you mentioned Najee Harris, the left guard. You can talk about Austin Barber if you want to. I've never been a massive fan of Austin Barber
Right.
nor Jake Slaughter
I
either.
mean,
Neither one of those
he got
guys.
worked. Like Austin Barber got worked by Ruben Bain and Cassius Howell.
Hmm. Yep. Again, he's too upright and he's too stiff. Again, he's one of those other. He's like kind of like Tiernan. Like he's like 6'7" and 32-inch arms. He's another one of those guys that's like really tall with not a lot of leverage. But I think he's way stiffer than Tiernan too. So like he can't even
Yeah.
knee bend to
I
match
mean,
those.
Barber has 33 and a half. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
point stands though.
Yeah. But he's way stiff. Way stiff. Um, and then defensively for Florida, again with Caleb Banks out for the season, I don't feel like either of those edge rushers, Gums or Sapp, have really been great this season
Yeah,
when I expected him kind of
I
to.
charted Sap. Very underwhelming.
Yeah. So Florida's another team that I think they'll have a lot of fun 2027 players. But
Yeah, if they stay.
if they stay, yeah, that's true. Like Jaden Ball, I love the running. I love their running back. I
Yeah.
love Ball, but um, I mean, we could talk about Notre Dame, Boston College, but there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone there from a Boston College perspective to really get into. Um,
What do you think about Jude Bowery,
when Dalton
Boston
and I
College
were
tackle?
scouting, I put a fifth on him, just but like I think like every aspect of playing offensive tackle, he is average at, just
Okay.
like across the board. And so I put a fifth round grade on him. I don't think there's any exceptional trait that leaps off, but I also like don't see any like massive deficiencies in his game either.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like he's like the color beige. He just it is. He exists.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, for Notre Dame, I watched Jadarian Price's kick return tape.
mhm.
Pretty awesome. Very like does a lot after contact on kick returns, which you don't always see.
I like it. Yeah, he's fun, man. Their 1-2 punch is awesome. I'm gonna be watching a little bit of Jordan Faison as well here because Faison's really impressed me. Again, does he declare? I don't know, but I think him and Fields have lapped Greathouse in production, obviously. But
Hmm.
Faison is a really awesome route runner, and he's been really productive this season. So Faison's another guy that I'll keep an eye on too. Texas Tech, Kansas State. The K State Center. Have you watched the K State Center at all?
I
Heck,
watched him over the summer, and then I watched like his first couple games. They played in that was it Ireland in that
yep.
kickoff game, and it's like the first college game of the season. So I'm just
And
so
it's a swamp.
starved for
Yeah.
tape, and I'm like, all right, dude, I'll watch the Kansas State center. So I watched him, and like, yeah, he was like a decent zone center, I thought, but
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with him since the start to the season.
Should be a good one here against AJ Holmes and Lee Hunter. Um,
I want to see a big game from David Bailey.
mhm.
You know, he hasn't been quite at the level that he was to start the season the last couple weeks. But teams have really started to scheme away from them and go to extreme measures, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Um, also from a Texas Tech perspective, I keep saying Coy Eakin as well. I don't know if Coy Eakin's going to declare. He's the redheaded white wide receiver, but he's fun too. Um, is Baron Morton back? They need Baron Morton back, big time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think from a Texas Tech perspective, K State, man, that's another program outside of Hecht where it's just like, what do you want to talk about?
Jace Brown,
Yeah,
you know.
wide receiver and
But
VJ Payne.
yeah.
Oh, I did have a scout whisper in my ear about Quay Moss, who's like their safety nickel hybrid. I haven't watched a single snap of him yet, though.
Okay.
But
Coy
that's a
Moss.
name to throw out there. He's a West Georgia transfer.
Add that
Um,
to the list.
yeah, Michigan State, Minnesota. That's a game that I feel like we could probably just skip over.
I bet you that Anthony Smith is going to have a big game
Well, he should. Have you watched that
because
Michigan
I
State
mean
offense?
Michigan State's offensive tackles just get worked against every single edge rusher that I watch them play.
Yes, yes, they do. They
They're
do indeed.
whenever like it's this every year like when you watch a bunch of edge rushers, you get as you know as much knowledge and insight into who the worst tackles around college football are as much as you do
Mhm.
with like who the good edge rushers are because every year there's a few where it's like when you see a rep against them, a win against them, you just kind of discount it a little bit because uh, it happens against everyone they face.
Yeah, yep. For Anthony Smith as well, I've been really disappointed that like any tackle with a pulse really hasn't played super well against.
Yeah.
So, um, but that's about it for that game there too. Pitt Stanford. Um, have you watched Sam Roush at all? The tight end for Stanford.
No, but I've seen him on lists.
Yeah, I watched his game last week. I was watching for who was I watching? Oh, I was Ruben Vane. I was watching Ruben Vane, the Stanford game from this past weekend, and he's blocking his ass off. Roush is so. Um, he's a player that's like low key on my radar right now.
What do you think about the Stanford tackle? I saw that one that was getting hype.
Nicky Prongos
Which one is he? The left or right tackle?
left.
Okay, so he had much fewer losses against Spain then.
Oh, the right tackle had a rough
Right.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Prongos. So like the first thing that pops off to me is like I look at the body type on tape and I say, oh yeah, that's a tackle.
Yeah. Uh
Like
huh.
I really like the body type, the how he's built. Like his, I think he appears to me to be rocked up across the board, upper half, lower half.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's probably a little stiff, but I think the foot speed's fine. He kind of moves like a guard to me though. Moves like a guard to me, but I think he's got length to hang outside. Um, the outside shoulder is a little bit soft though.
Yeah. We'll probably be watching him over the summer, I assume.
Yeah. Um. All right, here. Like, I feel like we can jump around here a little bit because even SEC game like Mississippi State, Arkansas, I don't have a ton to add in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Julian Neal, he's going to be tested because they throw the ball over. Mississippi State's going to try to throw the ball all over the field. Um, Quincy Rhodes should have a game. Should have a game. He had 2 sacks last week.
Yeah, but they were like unblocked though.
Low quality. Yeah.
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 Have you watched the Arkansas tight end Rojas?
I have not.
Um, or not um, hold on, let me find his name. Rohan Jones.
I've
Uh,
not.
so like he has insane production, and it's just all deep shots. He has 12 receptions for 408 yards.
That's amazing.
Um, Averages
He's averaging 34 yards
34
a catch.
yards per catch. And I watched them all, and it's either leak plays, and then there's some really impressive like seam, just over the shoulder tight window stuff. It, I, it's a day 3 guy at most, but like there's something there. There's a little bit of something there,
That's amazing.
and
I'm gonna have
he's at
to
the very least like a fun college football weapon.
Montana State transfer. Maine to Montana State. That's amazing. Maine to Montana State to Arkansas. That's a
Yeah.
pipeline right there. Love that. Love that for him. David Oakey still hasn't played another game, dude. I really do think he probably redshirted.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see him again next year, whether that's in Fayetteville or somewhere else.
That's one of the things,
Um,
man. Like, so one of my friends from high school went to Abilene Christian, where David Oakey transferred
mhm.
from, and like whenever it happened a couple times, whenever I like watch ACU tape for whatever reason, I'll text him, and it's like we were talking about the transfer portal. It would make it so hard to be a fan of a lower level team like that because the best case scenario is you just recruit someone and then get sniped by like Syracuse or Arkansas or whoever.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it sucks for players like David. Well, it doesn't. Not necessarily for. I don't feel bad for David Oki because I'm sure he's getting paid enough. But like, it sucks for the ACU fans because like in any other um, time period, that would just be a guy that graduates, there, and that kind of thing happens all the
Mhm.
time. Mackay Hughes is another example.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Bailey. Or not with Bailey, with Oki.
Oki.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. South Carolina Ole Miss here. Um, this might be my curtain call on Lenore Sellers, like now or never. Like this is now or never for me because again, he's now this is game 4 of a 5-game stretch of solid SEC performances, like SEC competition. And so far we're sitting at 0-3 in terms of not just wins. Like QB wins doesn't matter to me just like a whole lot. I think there's a little bit that is performance based in that, but like 0 for 3 in terms of like showing me that you are capable of elevating those around you.
Right.
And that's again, we've had this conversation so many times. I don't need to rehash it, but so I think this is curtain calls for me. If it doesn't happen this week against an Ole Miss defense that's given up a lot of points, it's given up a lot of points. So we'll see what happens with Lenore Sellers in this game here.
Yeah, that was honestly, I think last week was kind of that for me with Lenore
Hmm.
Sellers, where I've sort of tuned out to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him one more go here, but Trinidad Chambliss, on the other hand, though,
Yep.
like this might be my favorite day 3 quarterback of the bunch here. He's a fun little player.
You say that now, but pretty soon somebody can become your least favorite day one quarterback like
Oh,
really
don't
fast.
we're gonna jump the shark all the way up
Because
to the.
the reason
Oh
I say that,
man.
I remember like, so me and Ryan Roberts did a draft podcast like super briefly for literally 4 episodes. One of them we were
Mhm.
talking about how Jackson Dart was like one of our favorite day 3 quarterback prospects, and then a year
Yeah.
later we look up and he's a first round pick, which has worked out a little bit better than I expected for sure. But
Yeah, it's all
we'll
like
see how it
battering
goes.
ram gimmicky stuff still, like
Yeah.
very paper thin
Uh, a,
responsibility wise, but
a sidebar off of that is like, at what point anymore can we even say that we were right or wrong on a quarterback take?
listen,
Because Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, like if you had Daniel Jones, or
that's true.
probably not, Daniel Jones is just 1 year, but if you were a big Sam Darnold guy, you looked like an idiot for 7 years or however long, and now you can literally just pull up all of those receipts.
Yeah. I do wonder about that, man, because there's so much about the responsibility of a back of having to be so cognitively sharp just in case that like if you're a failed former first round pick, the first round pick status kind of indicates that like, well, the physical side of things is already on par. Like you're not getting picked first round. I mean, it's happened. Okay, to a fifth overall, sure. Like Mac Jones went first round. Sure, there are exceptions where guys without the tools go high, but I do think there's an element of that of like you get relegated to a backup role. You have to prepare like the starter, but you aren't getting any of the reps. So that means your mental reps have to be so much better. Like have to be so much more intense and
Hmm.
intentional. That I do think then when you get the chance again to start, that there might be something that might have developed at that point.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man. It's really fascinating to see the things we've seen. Um, anything else from South Carolina Ole Miss here before we move on?
No,
No,
I think that's it. Do we want to
I like
talk?
the tight end Daquan Wright a little bit, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know Max Tasano really likes him.
yeah. All right. Again, we're gonna skip a lot here because like Purdue, Michigan, we can talk about Justice Haynes, but Derek Moore. Outside of that is, I think they're both fine players, but like not exceptional.
I think honestly, Cincinnati, Utah,
I'm down to jump all the way down there if you want to
nine
talk about
nine
Cincinnati, Utah, man.
fifteen. I mean, I stayed up late to watch. You know that
I'm watching that football game. It's 10:15
have
my time.
I watched like cumulatively more baseball the other night than I ever have in my life because I've probably watched like one and a half full baseball games in my entire life. And once it got to like about the third extra inning, I was watching. So all that's to say, I will be seated for this game. I'm willing to sacrifice my sleep if it means watching sports.
Yeah. So my hands on the big red button for Lenore Sellers this week. My hands on the big green button for Brendan Sorsby this week.
Mm-hmm.
If this is another strong Sorsby week, I'm in the conversation of top 32 for this guy. I'm in. Like I think because again we've talked about the traits are there. He's smart with the football. The production's been there this year. So like, uh, and I think the balls come out quick in the short game. Like the quick game, the ball's coming out fast, and he's knowing where to get the football out when he needs to in the short game. So like the boring stuff is coming alongside of the stuff that he's doing outside of structure, and that's like the development that like I yearn for in quarterbacks is everything that Brendan Sorsby's been putting on tape this year versus last year's tape where I had him charted as the least accurate quarterback in the class coming into the season
Yeah.
through summer scout. To now, we're seeing a lot sharper quarterback play from Sorsby, um, to go along with the trades. So, very exciting stuff.
Yep. Like I said, I'm probably a couple, weeks behind you on Sorsby. I need to see him, this potential arrival game that we've been talking about. I need to see like maybe two or three more of those, but I'm pretty excited about him for sure.
Yeah. From a Utah perspective, I mean, you got the tackles. I can't name a single pass rusher on Cincinnati's roster, so they better have good games this week. It's been pretty bland for probably what 3 weeks running now for Lomu and Fano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fano had a rough week a couple weeks ago.
yeah. So needed
But
to see them pick it up a
Smith
little bit.
Snowden had a really impressive performance against Jordan Tyson. I think was the
Mhm.
most competitive corner for sure that I've seen go up against Tyson. So he's on my radar, underclassman.
Love it. People like Tal Johnson as well, the safety.
I
I
did
haven't watched a
not.
lick of Tal
Yeah,
Johnson,
I
so
watched him and gave him a 6th round grade.
yep, there we go. And then linebacker wise, there's Jay Golday and Lander Barton.
Yep.
So, um, Lander Barton had first round grades from scouts coming into last season. Now he has day 3 grades, and the truth's probably somewhere in the middle, right? Like a top 125 guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's gonna play in the NFL for a while.
Yeah, he really has the traits for sure. I've just been
Yeah.
underwhelmed by the tape ever since like a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I had a high grade going on him going into last year.
Yep. Yep. Sounds about right to me. The only big game that we skipped in the process of jumping down to the 10-15 game was Oklahoma Tennessee. Anything you want to shout out there?
Yeah. So something I was thinking about is like Tennessee to me, I think they're going to be a really fun team to talk about next year. And kind of in the future because they've got some underclassmen. I follow Vols recruiting, living in Tennessee some, um, and like they've sort of splurged for some 5 stars that all have looked like they've hit in really big ways. So like Mike Matthews, I think is a really talented receiver. They've got David Sanders, who is a true freshman starting. As for this year, it's really like I think Chris Brazel, Joshua Josephs, Wendell Moe, probably
Hmm.
Colton Hood. I'm not a huge fan of Arian Carter. I know Dane liked him. He is
Hmm.
like he's the fastest, probably fastest linebacker in the SEC. Um, to me, he's a little bit unpolished taking on blocks, but I don't know if you've
He's
watched him
small.
go. Yeah,
Yeah, he's listed at like 6 foot 230, right? Which means he's probably like 5'11", 225.
right.
Um, yeah, yeah, agreed. Um, but that's it, man. This is a again we talk about these slates that are relatively underwhelming and they turn into the best slates ever. So
Yeah.
not gonna undersell anything here. We might get some
Anything beats the NFL slate from last weekend.
Oh my god. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, That's it for this episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. Again, we'll be back on early next week to bring you the helmet stickers and recap of what happened week 10. Again, already 10 weeks in the NFL season. Jeez. Uh, but enjoy this weekend. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. See ya.